Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another lesson of sayings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let's see what we are going to study today. So in today's lesson, we are going to learn about actions are rewarded according to the motives behind them. And as you know, every week we're trying to learn and memorize a new hadith. So we are on our 5th hadith now. So we're trying to learn 40 hadiths in 40 weeks. So inshallah, I hope and pray that, these small sayings of the Holy Prophet ﷺ are very easy to memorize and they're very short. So let's try our best to try and memorize them in the best way that we can. So in today's hadith, I'll read the root first, and then we'll read the hadith, read the translation, and then try to break it down to try and learn as best as we can. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد عن عمر بن الخطاب قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى Bukhari, narrated by Hadrat Umar bin al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him. I heard the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ say, verily deeds are judged by the intentions, and for everyone is a reward according to his intention. So this is a very important hadith, and we'll explain this hadith a little bit further. But first, let's try to break down the Arabic and let's try to learn it. And it's something which you hear all the time, especially the first part of the hadith, but maybe you don't know the second part of the hadith, which is as important as well. So let's try to learn, break it down first. So the first bit is إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Surely deeds are judged by motives, or verily deeds are judged by the intentions. So إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Remember that bit. And the next bit is وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. So it's a little bit harder, but if you keep saying it, you can get it. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. So that's the next bit, which means, and for everyone is a reward according to his intention. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. This is from Bukhari. So this is very easy. Let's try to learn it, try to memorize it. But now let's get into what this actually means. So the explanation notes, this subtle hadith shows a basic light on the philosophy underlying human deeds. So there are different types of actions, and really there are three main types. For a good action which has not really the benefits or the blessings inside it. Some of them are as follows. So it is evident that seemingly good deeds are also of many types. So number one, some acts are done by sheer force of habit, some in imitation of other people, and some for show and advertisement. And we'll get more into this, and you'll understand these 3 points a little bit more as we go along into the next slides. So a good act should have a good motive. And the Holy Prophet ﷺ, says that all these deeds are barren of result and carry no weight in the balance of the God of Islam, and that correct deeds are the ones done with a true intention and a sincere mind. So the three points here. Some acts are done by sheer force of habit, or imitating people, or just to show people, or to advertise people, showing off. These three, the Holy Prophet says that they are barren from the blessings of God, and they hold no weight. And so that's why you must always make the right intention before you do anything, and you shouldn't do it for the 3 reasons before, which if you do, then the blessings are ultimately taken out of it. So let's try to firstly get our priorities right, make the intention before you do your action. So when actions do not match what you say, if a person lacks in truthfulness of motive, he is a hypocrite. If his tongue bears no testimony to his inner feeling, he is a coward. If his hands and feet do not act in harmony with his declared purpose, he is a poor performer. So again, sometimes you say something, but your actions completely show something completely different. And unfortunately, this is the state that many Muslims have fallen into, especially some so-called scholars who tell their people to, do very good things, to pray, to give to the poor and everything, but their actions show otherwise. Their mannerism, their way of speaking show something completely different to what they are telling people to do. And in life, you'll see this again and again. So, as Muslims, we must firstly do things, whatever action we are doing, make sure we understand why we are doing it, and we should try to do it to please Allah the Almighty. And in that way, your physical actions will match what you are saying, and what you are saying will match your intentions. So it's all goes hand in hand. And so we can't be like this. We can't be people um, who try to be a person who lacks in truthfulness of motive. He is a hypocrite. So if your motive isn't right, then you can't say that you're a truthful person. And ultimately, you fall into the category of being a hypocrite. So and so forth with the rest of the examples. So good intentions plus action lead to reward. And the Holy Prophet ﷺ gave a very beautiful example here. He said, if a husband puts a morsel in the mouth of his wife, because it is the will of his maker that he provide his wife with sustenance and see to her comfort, this act would therefore be certainly treated in the presence of God as an act of piety. And so because the husband knows that him feeding his wife is something which is loved by God and which is a command by God, because he had that in his mind, and because he did that good act of feeding his wife, in that way his intention was good, his act was good, and in return Allah the Almighty was pleased with him and rewarded him. And so it's so simple. It's just a matter of every day in every situation we do things with the right intention, and you can get so many blessings from that for free. Just for example, if you're playing with your children, just put it in your mind that Allah the Almighty wants me to look after my children. If you just put that in your mind, if you say that, and then what you're doing will be blessed even more. And that's why in Islam we try to say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim before we start any act. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the ever merciful. Before we do anything, we try to say Bismillah. So that's us making the right intention before we do an action. And so that's why it's so important before we eat, before we study, before we go to namaz, before we read the Holy Quran, we remember Allah the Almighty, because that's us making that first step of making the intention, and then ultimately us doing the action which will ultimately please Allah the Almighty. Don't always follow the crowd, and sometimes when you do that, you sometimes get the reward sucked out of it, because thousands of people in this world, they offer prayers because they get into the habit from early childhood, and sometimes they pray just because other people are doing it, and because that's what they were doing when they were young. So it just becomes a formality. It doesn't become an act which they openly want to do to please Allah. Thousands observe fasts because the people around them do so. So you see this especially in the Muslim world. When Ramadan comes, suddenly everyone starts to fast. But as soon as they break their fast, they're starting to do things which counter the intention of them fasting. And it's more becoming a cultural habit rather than a spiritual habit, which is what we should be doing as Muslims. And also thousands who perform the pilgrimage so that they may be known as Hajis among the people, and that they may be considered pious, and so that their trades may prosper. So again, people trying to go to Hajj, finish Hajj, and attain the title of becoming a Haji, meaning someone who has performed Hajj, which is seen as a very noble and an honorable status. And so that sometimes helps people in their businesses and their relations with people and their respect in the world. And people, believe it or not, do Hajj for this sole reason. So remember to always take the right steps. A false act, however virtuous it may appear to be, cannot be deserving of any reward from Allah. Undoubtedly, a truthful deed is the one that has behind it a true and pure motive, for the reward of deeds is measured out in terms of motives. So, two things here. Someone can appear to be doing something good, but you don't know what their intentions are. You don't know if they're doing it for show. You don't know if they're doing it to become famous or to gain people's pleasure. Whatever that is, that could be someone who can stand in the namaz for hours and hours and continuously looking at you to see if you're looking at him and hearing that you're praising him. That kind of act is totally wrong, even though he's doing something which is seemingly good, which is praying. The blessings of that is taken out. So remember, your sole purpose is to please Allah and to please, the right people, whether it's your parents or your family or friends or the Jamaat or wherever you are. You're trying to do acts which will get reward and not take the reward out of it. So don't let the rewards go to waste. It's a free act of making good intention, and it's even better if your actions match your good intentions. So remember, intentions come first. Before you pray, understand why you are standing before God. Do not pray just because it is a habit. Before you eat, praise Allah and thank Him for the blessings in front of you. And when you are helping your family members, do it with good intentions and an open heart to gain the happiness of both your family and Allah the Almighty. So these are a few points, and this was a short video on intentions, on making good motives before you carry out any action. So Jazakallah, this was the end of today's lesson, which we spoke about actions are awarded according to the motives behind them. Make sure you get the blessings, make sure you do things in the right way, take the right steps to please Allah the Almighty and all the people around you as well. So Jazakumullah for watching. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim innaka hamidun majid.